There was a super chat at the end of the show yesterday. We're going to reflect back on why Kim Coulter sent that to us in reference to Frank Leahy and Notre Dame. We'll get to that at some point today. There's our great friend, and I mean rolling up now, Taylor McHargue, ESPN, CBS, Big 12 work now. We'll be in Waco occasionally for that, maybe even some games, joins us. So tell us a little bit about some added exposure for you, which you've earned.
Well, thank you guys. Yeah, it's good to be back. Signed on with the Big 12 Conference show called Inside the 12 that I think they launched last year, and really fired up to join that team. And we'll record, and I think first episode will be Thursday, and preview the Week 0 matchup coming up in Dublin. That'll come out every Thursday on True TV, 7 Eastern. And it'll also be on YouTube and all the other normal mediums for the Big 12. But yeah, excited. I open my schedule next week with SFA at Houston, and got a few more Big 12 games mixed in there as well. But looking forward to getting the season going.
Well, you'll enjoy working with Pete. He has a podcast for Rogue. Great guy. You'll love him. So let's start with that first game. That's Saturday. Farmageddon in Ireland, which is a bummer for the fans that love that game there. But I think for the Big 12, fantastic showcase, all alone at 11 o'clock on Saturday morning. What do you think about this one matchup-wise? It seems to be maybe the best one they've ever had in this Aer Lingus series that they have.
Yeah, no doubt. I would say that the slate for Week 0 overall is the best we've had as far as I can remember. These Week 0 games are interesting because go back to last year. The example I keep using is SMU goes to Nevada, and it was not a great Nevada team, and SMU should have lost. They end up being a playoff team. And I use that example because Week 0, it's such a new team, and especially in the portal era, you're trying to gel these guys together and get a cohesive unit. And to me, Week 0 is all about trying to play as clean a brand of football as you can. For Avery Johnson in Kansas State, that was an issue last year. I think the troubles that they had down the stretch were really driven by turnovers. So that's what I'm looking for in this game. There's going to be plays that are made on both sides. You got two quarterbacks that have been around. Rocco obviously has been around for feels like forever with Iowa State. But which version of these offenses do we get? Does Avery Johnson take that next step forward? I think this will be a close game, but I think it comes down to decision making from coaching staffs, number one, and then beyond that, it's who takes care of the football better.
Taylor, you mentioned that you're going to be going to check out Houston. Connor Wegmans grabbed some offseason headlines with the move there to H-Town to play for Willie Fritz. So what are you kind of hearing? What are you sort of expecting from Connor Wegmans?
Yeah, it sounds like he's had a great camp from everything I've heard. I'm excited to anytime a quarterback gets a second chance as a former quarterback, I want to pull for them. And this is a team that I feel like if there's anybody out of the Big 12 that I would say could surprise people this year, I would say it's either Houston or Cincinnati. I think those are two teams that you don't hear a lot about. There's not a lot of headlines because of the attention on the Baylors of the world, Texas Techs, Kansas States, Iowa States, Arizona States. But I think Houston has an opportunity to pick up off where they left off of at the end of last year, where they upset some teams, Kansas State being one of them late in the year. And Willie Fritz, head coach at Houston, is somebody that I trust, is a head coach that I think deserves the benefit of the doubt. If you go look at his Wikipedia page, for anybody that's not familiar, everywhere he's been a head coach, they've won. And it doesn't take him long to get there either. So I expect a big step forward for Houston. I think this is at a minimum a bowl team. And I think their ceiling could be 8-9 wins where they take that real next step. And it'll start off with an SFA team that it hasn't been very long that they almost went on the road and beat Texas Tech. So this will be a good FCS team again. And Houston will have to. This is not one they can just roll their helmet out, but they should win comfortably if they play well.
What are your thoughts? Bear Bachmeier, the transfer, goes to BYU. They have a quarterback battle, and it all depended on who we talked to the last couple of months, but he gets named the starter there.
Yeah, BYU is interesting because I think you'd have them, Vegas before the Jake Retzlaff news had this as one of the, kind of in that top tier 3 or 4 teams in the Big 12 in terms of winning the Big 12 for odds. They slipped down to closer to the middle of the pack. For Bear Bachmeier, I think it's interesting that he wears number 47. I don't know exactly how I feel about that, but I know some college football fans are like, what are we doing? I think it's going to be about managing expectations for him, right? I mean, this is a huge moment that he was not expecting as early as May of this year, and certainly before that in spring ball, this BYU team thought it was going to be Jake Retzlaff. And so it's still a talented roster. I still think this will be a team, especially when they get to play at home. You never want to have to go to BYU if you can avoid it. But trying to get him up to speed early, build some confidence for him, is always the key for freshman quarterbacks.
Oklahoma State is trying to bounce back off the worst year that Mike Gundy's ever had. And it was really bad. The wheels fell off after the first 3 games. You kind of see it coming in that Arkansas game, too, that they played. What do you think about them with new quarterback, new everything, new coordinators that are kind of the old coordinators? Where do they have to take a leap to calm the waters in Stillwater?
Well, I think one of the things you just hit on would be my biggest concern, and I think is the biggest concern for Oklahoma State fans is quarterback play. I think it's combined, forget the stat off the top of my head, but it's not very many completions that are on that roster right now. I want to say it's like in the neighborhood of 10 or 12 total by all the quarterbacks that are on that roster. And that's where a year ago you felt like that position had regressed. And if you don't, look at what they did in the portal. Effectively turned over almost their entire roster. And so much was made last year. I remember having their opener where Oklahoma State had everyone coming back. It was 20 of 22 starters. This was going to be a year that they had really dreams and aspirations of making it into the college football playoff, and they fall flat on their face. What does, number one, the portal additions, how quickly can they get up to speed and gel with, like you mentioned, new coordinators? But the biggest thing to me is going to be, can you get consistent quarterback play that is above average for the league? I think that's where, if Oklahoma State cannot get that, which I think is going to be challenging, because, oh, by the way, I really do believe the Big 12 has the most depth at the quarterback position of any conference in college football. So that's where I feel like Oklahoma State's probably below average again at the quarterback spot. And I don't see, this is going to be a team to me that I think is going to be fighting to get to a bowl as kind of their ceiling.
So, Taylor, last year they were welcoming in the Pac-12 teams, and Utah, at least some segment of their fan base online, says, like, we're coming in, we're going to kick y'all's asses and just dominate, and that's not at all what happened. Now, this year, the polls start coming out, and everybody's back on Utah again, or a lot of people are. Devin Dampier's a big reason as to why. Are you buying stock in this Utah resurgence, and what are your thoughts on how much of a difference Dampier can make from that shoddy situation they were in a year ago that involves so much uncertainty?
From a style perspective, I loved it. This is a Utah. We've come to know them as a team that plays good defense, take care of the football. And I feel like when they've had the ability, any quarterback run game ability, that's when they've been most dangerous. And that's certainly what Devin Dampier brings. Last year, with a New Mexico team that top down really was not very talented, getting 2-5 wins a year ago for Bronco Mendenhall, that was really a really positive season for them. I know that doesn't sound like a lot, but they did more with less than I think maybe any other team in the group of 5. And Devin Dampier, I think, fits into what Utah, when you think about their ethos and what they want to be. I thought that was a home run. I think if you look back at the end of this year and pick, okay, who ended up being the newcomer of the year, I think he's got a chance to be that guy.
Texas Tech has a tremendous amount of buzz about what they've done in their roster building. They've never won the Big 12. That's never happened. It is pretty much Big 12 championship game or bust. Is the team and the coaching staff prepared enough for those to meet those expectations?
I think so. As part of this show, and giving away a little bit, but have had to make this pick a couple times already. My prediction for the Big 12 this year is Texas Tech against Kansas State in the Big 12 championship, and I like Texas Tech to win the Big 12 and make it into the college football playoff. I think it's a combination of a couple things. This assumes that Behren Morton can stay healthy, but a veteran quarterback in Behren Morton that's been around for a long time. Mm-hmm. And the amount of additions, and that were quality additions in the portal. I know they just lost one at the running back spot yesterday for the season, but there were more quality, those 4-star caliber portal additions by Texas Tech than the rest of the league combined. And so I think if there's ever a time for this program to take that next step and get to double-digit wins, win the league, get into the playoff, it kind of, if you're a Texas Tech fan, it's really, if not now, when. And I do think Joey Maguire has the pieces in place right now to get over the hump and take that next step.
Taylor, okay, so you do games for both ESPN and still CBS, correct?
That's right.
So you get your assignments how many days out? Like a week and a half or what? How do they do that?
CBS is a little different. I have my whole CBS schedule, and the majority of my games will be with CBS. I've got 13
Right.
with them. ESPN, I'll kind of have, I would guess, 4 or 5 in the regular season, and then I'll do some postseason for them as well. ESPN is a little more because they've got so much inventory and they've got to stack what goes where based on, like, especially late in the season, what the really quality games are. We don't find out until 2 weeks in advance. But I know the first couple with ESPN, and I've got my full CBS schedule already.
So you have you got a full plate. Now we have to discuss at some point. It could be off the air, but I'll do it now. When we're going to get you, because if you're in Waco, we'll try to figure out a way to get you over here, whether we record it or get you live.
Yeah, got to. I'll be up there every Wednesday. So I'll
Well, that's
figure out with
normally
you
when we.
guys how.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
that sounds great.
yeah, we'll make it happen. We've been talking about in the past getting in studio for some of these. But yeah, I'm excited. This will be excited for the show, and really looking forward to, like I said, we're going to spend a lot of time with Inside the 12 breaking down quarterback play, because there's one in your backyard right now for Waco, but there is so much talent in this league at the quarterback spot, and not just as college players, but there's a couple guys in this mix that I think have the opportunity to be real pro prospects. But yeah, every Wednesday we'll be up there breaking it down, and would love to swing by and visit with you guys.
Man, at the quarterback, was it 9 guys that are fairly high level guys that are back this year? Not to mention, you mentioned Dampier, who could be perfect for what Utah needed, because they've really been kind of floundering because of the issues they had with Cam Rising and injuries as well. Thank you very much, buddy. Good luck. Congratulations, Taylor. That's great news for you. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. Good to see you guys. Thanks for having me on.
Taylor McHarg with ESPN, CBS, as he mentioned, quite a bit, and also will be a part of that Big 12 Now show every week on, the Big 12. What is that going to be on?
True TV.
True TV. I'm sorry.